I put the hooch away.
Right now. Good evening and welcome to the Monday, August 8th, 2022 Litchfield Board of Selectmen meeting. The board has just come out of a paperwork review. I'll call the meeting to order and ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This evening, we have Mr. Leary remote. Therefore, we need to have a motion to allow him to participate and vote remotely. Do we have a motion?
So move.
We have a motion by Mr. LaSalle's.
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Queenan. All those in favor, Mr. LaSalle's.
Aye.
Mr. Lynch.
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 4-0-0. Mr. Leary, you're welcome to join us now.
Hello there.
All right, first we have the review and approval of consent items. We have the account payroll manifest of August 2nd, 2022 in the sum of $275,781.92 and August 9th, 2022 in the sum of $392,279.46. We have a payroll manifest of August 4th, 2022 in the sum of $60,288.29 and August 11th, 2022 in the sum of $75,457.87. We have the June 2022 Treasurer Reconciliation. We have the July 2022 Town Clerk Tax Collector Reconciliations. We have a purchase order HP Fairfield in the sum of $20,145 and Jay Grillo in the sum of $35,000. We also have the July 11th, 2022 minutes. Are there any items members would like to remove from consent? Hearing none.
Could maybe just tell what the items are for, the Grillo and the other one?
So
people
the
watching at
Fairfield
home.
and the Grillo. Excuse me? It's Kevin's new plow truck.
Oh, yep. Okay. So just so the people at home know, I think we know.
Do we have a motion to approve the consent items?
So move.
We have a motion by Mr. LaSalle's,
The second.
second by Mr. Lynch. All in favor, Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0-0. Is there any other business members would like to add this evening?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to discuss just very briefly with
Mhm.
the board about the water situation.
Okay.
In Peppered, and I don't know where we're going to go with this, but I think it behooves us to at least explore as many alternatives as we can.
Okay, so let's get through some of this lower hanging fruit
Sure,
and then
sure.
we'll have a healthy discussion on it.
Sure.
Public input will occur no earlier than 6:45 p.m. The first item of business is the July 25th, 2022 minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review?
Mhm.
Do we have any comments or corrections?
I have one correction. I see you in the audience right there. I'll just hand it to you. When we were talking about with John Brunel about creating an online complaint form, we wrote that the public and the staff could fill it out online. It also can be filled out over the phone. So I'll just hand you this, and that's all I had.
Okay, do we have any other? All right, do we have a motion to accept the minutes based on the correction?
So move.
Motion by Mr. LaSalle's,
Second.
second by Mr. Lynch. All in favor, Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenie?
Aye.
And I will abstain. Motion carries 4-0-1. Next, we have the resignation acceptance of Brad Coates, police prosecutor. Ms. White.
Oh, yeah, unfortunately, Mr. Coates has sent in his resignation effective September 1st. So the selectmen should vote to accept his resignation and authorize the police administrator French to proceed with interim services and recruitment of replacement.
Okay, thank you.
He'll be missed.
Yes.
Excuse me. In the interim here after September 1st, did you say who's going to be doing this function?
No. So the interim chief right now is Michael French, And so this is to authorize him to either find an interim or a replacement.
But we don't have a definite plan.
We don't.
I think the
It was
default
just-
might be go back to having an officer go in like we used to do.
Oh, I haven't heard
Yeah.
that.
At one time, a police officer used to go and that was on duty.
Yeah.
So I think we have to get with Administrative Chief French and see what the game plan should be.
At one time, we had one designated officer who was the prosecutor. And, but who knows?
I understand the concern. Let's accept the resignation. We got no choice there to speak of. And I will have Deputy Chief French do it as we just talked about. Look at what the balance for the next move will be there. You know what I'm saying? Whether we use one officer or we get somebody subcontracted or whatever. Okay, there's so many methods out there.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Lynch,
Second.
second by Ms. Queenan. Further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Leary,
I regretfully,
Mr. LaSalle's.
Aye.
Mr. Lynch.
I regretfully too.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. If you could send him a thanks of service note, that'd be greatly appreciated. Next, we have the emergency repairs authorization for engine one. Deputy Chief Nickel, welcome. It's always good to have you. We do. Welcome, Corey.
Thanks for having me.
So, as you may all know, June 30th, we had a 2-alarm fire at Wilson Farms. All our trucks went to Wilson Farms. Engine one pumped, which is our newest engine. It's 19 years old. Pumped at the fire for over 3 hours, had no issues. I was the incident commander. After the fire was over and I sent engine one back to have the truck put back in service, I received a phone call from one of the lieutenants saying that they could not shut the truck off. They tried everything in their power. There's no keys to a fire truck. There's power switches. One's a master battery, and then the other one is a start-stop button. So they made a lot of attempts to try and shut the truck off. They couldn't. I contacted Corey, who was working his shift in Bedford, and Corey was scratching his head and trying to talk our way through what could possibly be making it not shut off. Finally was able to use the fuel shut off sending unit and basically pull a plug and stop the fuel going to the truck. Was able to shut the truck off. That was the beginning of the holiday weekend, so the truck was out of service. Corey wasn't going to be able to be in till late on, was it the 5th? So we ended up contacting Lakes Region Fire Apparatus, who are up in Tamworth. They do a lot of work for us when we need it. They sent a service tech down. He spent about 4 hours on the truck. A fire truck, because fire trucks nowadays are all electronic, and there's things in there that regulate the power so that if something catastrophic happens, it puts the power where it needs to be and shuts down other systems. So just in the cab alone, there's 20 different relays just for the cab area of the truck. What they found was that when you shut the master power off, there should be no power going to the truck. Well, there's power still going to the truck all the way to the officers or passenger side front seat of the truck. After about 4 or 5 hours, he was able to figure out how to start the truck and shut the truck off, changing out a relay. Once he got the truck running, he couldn't get the fire pump to work, and none of the emergency lighting, nothing was working. It was like the truck was possessed. We ended up calling Greenwood, which is an emergency one authorized dealer down in Massachusetts, down in North Attleboro. Corey drove the truck down and was followed down. And on the way down, the air horns were going off intermittently by themselves. And He had to pull a couple fuses because there were other alarms going off in the truck. So we got the truck down to Greenwood. They were going through some COVID issues. Took a while before they could look at the truck. They were able to make repairs to get the truck running and everything running. Basically, what they found out is there's a lot of corrosion on the truck. Again, it's 19 years old. Underneath the driver's side door where you get into the truck is basically the brains of the truck. There's a steel box, and there's different. I'll let Corey explain it because I'll probably kill it. So go ahead.
Yeah. Basically, what the deputy was getting at is the truck had a lot of demons. You know, that's what we say about vehicles when there's like what's going on there. It had a lot of demons, but all the demons, I mean, they were so random. It's a little on E1s and most of the apparatus, what they call the cab interface module. Basically, everything that happens down on the chassis, whether it's the engine, the pump, the lights, power going in, anything, it's everything that goes up in the cab that gives you that control in the cab. So cab interface module, everything from electronics, oil pressure, air pressure, everything is monitored through there and the information is distributed. Well, what happened is that box, and it's an older truck, it developed cracks, and with the pumping and everything else that night, water got in there and the demons were born. That was the main issue with it. However, there are a lot of other issues. Biggest one was, you know, we've been noting it for a few years now, saying, yeah, the corrosion on that truck is getting worse, and it's getting worse, and it's getting worse. Being the newest piece that we have to do everything in our power to keep that running, because that's going to be the workhorse. I mean, we get everything that's from 22 to 28 years old. So we really have to, and there's only so much I can do. I mean, we have a beautiful station, but our station is not a maintenance facility. I can do a lot of things there. I try to do everything I can there, but there's just some things that can't be done that have to be brought to a dealer to be taken care of. So
So basically, we asked them while it was there to identify any other problems or potential problems that they could see while they had the truck down there. So you were all given a copy of the quote from Emergency One, which is Greenwood. And they itemized out all the things that needed to be done. If you look at the list, there's really nothing on there that's a nice to do. Everything on there is something that really needs to be done. A lot of the issues that we've been having, some of the gremlins over the years is, you know, you change out a clearance light and, you know, 2 days later it blows out and everything. Having grounding issues because the frame is rusted, and so there's it's hard to find a good place to ground things. One of the big things that we asked them to identify for us is if the frame rails were still good, because the city of Manchester some years ago, with the same era of truck that we have, had 4 trucks that were 2 to 3 years old that had cracked frames. So we didn't want to go down that road and that's actually what happened to our old engine when the 1984 it was taken out of service because they found a crack in the frame. So we didn't want to go down that road. So they analyzed the whole truck. They sent the results to Florida, to the main Emergency One engineering. And their recommendation is that we sandblast this truck down, the frame rails and everything, repaint, protect everything, and also take the necessary safeguards to make this truck last another 10 years. Some of the other things that they found was, so a new fire truck, like the truck that we proposed last year, all the new fire trucks now, everything on them, all the waterways and all the big lines and everything are all made out of stainless steel. This truck is the old adage, everything is all made out of steel. So when we've been doing pump testing, the truck just passed its pump test a couple months ago, but it was noted that we were starting to get a couple little leaks that were happening in there. And it's because, again, just like with your house, you know, they don't use cast pipe anymore because cast pipe rots through. So they've changed what they're using. So we have a lot of piping in the truck that needs to be replaced in order to guarantee that when we go to a fire and we go to squirt water, the water's going to come out in the right places. So that was one thing. And then there's a couple things that they're not sure of, like they found in one of the back compartments, there's water leaking in. They need a little bit more time to investigate that. So one of the charges is actually to spend a couple hours so that they can actually go through the truck and really delve into it and find out what the issue is. So it was saying that they want, they got to steam clean one of the compartments and inspect for leaks. The other thing is, again, like I was talking about, is lighting. Some of the emergency lights that are on the truck that tell people to move out of the way, they freeze up and they go solid or they don't work at all. That's a safety problem. We need to fix that. So everything as a total came out to $48,000. What we're asking to use out of the fire apparatus repair fund, which has $75,000 in it. We're asking to do a not to exceed $50,000 to make these repairs. The truck's down there now. They can start on it right away. It'll take about 4 weeks for all the repairs to be made, and then we'll get the truck back, and then it'll be good to go for the fall and for the winter. If we don't do it, they'll fix to where it is now, which we're at about $4,200 right now that we've spent on the truck for the repairs that are going on now. We'll bring the truck back up, but the problem is we have all these other issues that if we don't take care of them, it's not going to be safe to have the truck on the road. It just makes more sense while it's down there to just have them dive into it and do it. So what the chief was suggesting and asking of the board is that you allow us to spend up to $50,000 out of this fire apparatus repair fund, not to exceed $50,000. And then once they get into it, into these 3 other areas where they have to go through things, if they find more stuff, we'll come back to the board, once we find out what it's going to be to fix it and go from there.
Okay, thank you.
Is it possible when they go through and sandblast the frame that they discover that the frame is not repairable?
No, so what they did is they had a third-party company come in. They actually x-rayed and they did all kinds of testing on it. So they've guaranteed to us that the frame rails are good. We just need to protect them and get rid of the corrosion so they don't corrode any further.
So based upon what you're hearing from this place, basically they're rebuilding the truck.
It's like an overhaul or a refurbishment, correct?
Of the frame rail. So what the company does is, like Deputy said, is a third party testing facility, and they interface with E1 Engineering. E1 says, okay, these are the places we want you to test at. They test it for their specs, non-destructive testing, X-ray and ultrasound, all the areas that E1 wants to specify. So it meets their engineering specs for the refurb. It's not a total refurbishment on the truck. It's just redoing the frame and making sure that the apparatus itself is safe.
But as far as the electronics, what are they doing as far as the electronics?
Oh, it's what they have done. They have replaced what I call the cab interface module. That was a very costly item, but it does all those things to get rid of.
So that's done.
That part there is done.
Okay.
That part there is done. That's the biggest part that I don't have the ability to do here because there's a lot of programming that goes along with that.
Sure.
I have a question. To do these repairs, as you state, it's going to give us a truck and we're going to get 10 years out of it. Is that what I'm hearing right?
It should basically give us it's going to prolong the life. So hopefully our expectation is to get another 10 years out of the truck, like where we're at now with the older trucks that we currently have.
Okay, and you don't think it's going to exceed $50,000?
We don't know that. There's 3 areas that they have to verify. I wouldn't think it would be a lot more than the 50,000, Bob, but it's not until they get into it. It may be minor stuff we don't even know yet.
So they haven't given you like a worst case scenario?
This is pretty much the worst case scenario, except for these 3 areas. The only way to delve into it is to spend a couple hours and one of them's $300, another one's like $500, just for them to get into it, to take things apart, to find the extent of what's going on.
What areas are those?
Well, I can speak to the water leak in the rear compartment. It's tough to access. They can access it. They've got the means to take it apart and put it back together. Is it a plumbing issue where some of the lines come back that way, or is it a crack in the tank?
Mhm.
I don't know. And a crack in the tank could be easily repaired. Maybe the line could be easily repaired too.
Okay.
Unknown at this point.
It's hidden.
Yeah.
Because the reason why I'm asking that is what I would like to do, and it's up to the board, of course, but that's what this fund is for the repairs on the vehicles as they need to be done. So I would like to give you a cushion and maybe say not to exceed $60,000. That should cover pretty much anything that they find, right? That we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, I would assume so.
No, we
Yeah,
didn't.
That
for
would stop you
sure.
guys having to come back here. I mean, it's our
Right.
primary vehicle. Let's just keep it out of service once instead of piecemealing it, right?
Right.
Then knowing at the next, next time it's in use, we have to go back because it fails.
Right.
Agreed.
Agreed. Yep. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I even if worst case scenario, I highly doubt it would be another $10,000. But I mean, like Corey was saying, if the tanks are made out of plastic,
Mhm.
we've had them come in and the tanks are covered lifetime guarantee. So UPF that's in Andover, actually, if there's a problem with the tank, we had them do it last year with the forestry truck. They come up and at no charge, they come up and they fix the tank.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, we have 75,000 in that fund right now, correct?
Yes.
So
I'm very happy that we had that warrant article. Came in handy this year.
I think
I
60
move we
fair number.
allow the fire department to fix engine one up to, not to exceed $60,000.
And the funding's going to be the fire truck expendable trust fund.
And waive
Yes.
the purchasing policy.
Yeah, and we have to waive the purchasing policy.
I'm sorry?
We need to waive the purchasing policy because it's
Okay.
over the value and we're going to a sole supplier.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Mr. LaSalle's. We have a second by Mr. Larry. Do we have any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Larry,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for all the
much.
work, guys.
Thank you.
Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
We have it back in service soon.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Enjoy your vacation.
Have a good
I'm in
night.
on
guys.
it.
Appreciate it. All right, the next item we have is budget review. The first one up is town meeting 4130.30. Ms. White.
All right. Miss Brand is here, and so she will go over town meeting.
I cannot believe we're already to this point in the
I
year.
know, scary. Very
Coming
scary.
with us so hot.
How you
Welcome.
feeling?
Thanks for being
Good.
with us.
Much better.
Really?
It was definitely worth it was a long haul, but
Which vertebrae?
it was S4 and 5. So they went in and they put a spacer in between. So it was like sitting like this. It was a slip disc. And then they lifted it, they put a spacer in. So I got a little taller.
Yeah, you didn't realize she's taller when she walked in?
I saw that when she
See
walked
that?
in.
And then they
Ducked
put
under the doorway and everything.
then they put the screws and the rods in there, and it was like instant, but you can't twist, you can't bend, you can't lift, you can't, so it's just a lot of sitting there.
Yeah.
So, but it was definitely worth it because it's much better and
Better quality of life.
exactly.
I'm
All right.
so glad I didn't go through that.
Oh,
I bought an inversion table. I fixed my own.
oh.
Thank you.
All right, so town meeting.
Yeah.
I think the only this year, or I should say next year, we only have one election as opposed to this year where we had 3. So, or we will have
At
3.
We have 2 more to come.
We got 2 more to go. So that's going to take a lot of the expenses down. If you can probably see in there the costs on this. What was the budget before? It was Went down quite a bit.
Oh, last year's, approved.
12,000.
For 2368 for 2022.
So it's,
Down to 649.
yep, 6,146
Oh, the whole budget, you mean?
just for the, yes.
For
Or
town
just
meeting?
clerks? Oh, for town meetings, last year was 12,700.
Yeah, you
approved.
can-
And the
Okay.
proposed is only
8,000.
so.
Yeah.
Minus 4,600.
$4,600. We like that.
We like that. So,
Okay, do we have any questions on, at this time, because we'll see all these again, 4130.30 town meeting?
Questions.
Anytime you come in with a tight number, it's gonna be good with the budget committee.
She gave us our first negative this year, which is good.
hey, I'm working on it.
Yeah,
And in
Next
a
is-
positive way.
that's right.
Right.
Next is town clerk 4140.10.
So, on the town clerk budget, I went to a meeting last week. I taught up in Concord for the New Hampshire Town Clerk Tax Collectors for the certification. And one of the discussions that we had were the mail out notices. We mail out those renewal notices, which is just, it's a courtesy. It ends up being about $700 a month to mail those out. We do still mail them to people via email. So we have a lot of people that opt out of it, but we still mail about, on average, 500 of them a month. A lot of towns don't do that anymore. They just do them via email. It's a big savings
Paperless.
going paperless. Karen and I sat down and figured out today it was close to $10,000.
Oh, wow.
What's the price of a stamp?
60 cents now, plus the envelope.
60 cents.
What do you do for people that don't have email abilities? You still mail them?
They would come in with their registration. Sometimes people come in, they just come in with their plate number. As long as they are on the registration, they can give us their plate number and they can, or mail in a check with their plate number on it, and we can renew it that way.
So as
So,
not to have problems down the road.
right. I know
Somebody
you're
can
gonna
stop
have
by.
some that, when we stopped the dog license notices, there were a few people that were upset. We put it out there on, on the social media. We call people. We're not going to call people we don't know whose birthday is what month, but
Yeah.
if it's your birthday, even leases now, they go in your birth month. They don't go under the leasing company. They go in your birth month.
Because it used to be what, January, all of them, right? Leases?
The leasing company, it went by the first letter of, like, a car was January,
Okay.
Nissan was November or something. So, it's just it's an option. It's a cost savings with
It's a good
The
cost
way-
savings.
it is. And we have to mail, we'll get to the tax side later, but the law says that we still have to mail tax bills. So that's not going to change, but motor vehicles, it's an option. We don't do the wages or anything like that yet. Health insurance and dental, Karen usually
Yeah,
does
I don't have
that.
Yeah, those aren't known at this time.
So the wages are all updated. Health insurance we
Okay.
don't have yet.
Software, I called them and they said it could be up to 5%. So I added that into there. Our Blue Book, which is what we get all of the updated vehicles when we put them in the system, because the town's portion goes by that MSRP. So I updated that. Dues and subscriptions, we have the Town Clerk Association in the New England. For the town clerks, that includes myself and the deputy.
Okay.
Tax collector, they don't do it that way. They charge for both. We have the cartridges in here. We have 2 packs at $6.74, for, we have three 2-packs, sorry. And those are $6.74 each. The printer that I have to do the reports and things like that, a 2-pack is $4.10, which takes care of the registrations, documents, deposits, all of that. Dog licenses, I have $4.59. I think that's about what it was this year, and I just ordered those. The postage line is what I'm referring to with the 18 boxes at $3.60. We would still have to get some of the envelopes because when they do their online registration, I believe that for us to mail it back to them, I think they get charged $1. And on the renewals, they get charged $1 for us to mail it back to them. So those fees would still be.
Wash.
Yeah. So we would probably only need to buy 6 or 8 boxes as opposed to 18. But again, I don't know what the board's thought is on that, where they want to go with that. Mileage and tolls, that is for 2 user group meetings, 4 trips to Concord for training, and the conference in North Conway. And I put all of the mileage off to the side where I came up with that. So Avatar was 69 miles, Concord 60, North Conway is 222. And then seminars and conferences. I have the conference at $440, spring workshops 2 for myself and the deputy at $50, and the certification program, which Laura has already gotten 1 year. She did 1 year when she was in Merrimack. So to finish her 3 years, I put $150, split it in between the 2 budgets. That's it on that one.
So when it's all said and done, it's an increase of $14,173.
And that's before we do anything with the renewal notices.
Yep. Yep.
So,
And that's
It's-
keeping the health and everything constant.
Yeah. Yep. I haven't changed or added anything to it.
Okay.
so if it comes down to it and we're in a position, like I said, where,
Way to cut if we need to.
yeah, it's a thought. And eventually, anybody can sign up for the online. We still get those notices every month. I mean, I don't know. I was trying to think of a way that we could possibly have people maybe opt in to just the notices. A lot of people, like I said, as long as they come in with their registration or they write their plate number down, they're covered. So,
Yeah, if we
Just
knew
a
their
thought.
email address, it would be easy just to opt them in.
yep. And now they have to do is go on to our website and go on to Avatar and sign up for the online.
As long as we have a provision for people who are totally computer illiterate,
Yep.
don't have any computer, don't have an email address, don't have access to social media,
Yep.
And there are still some like that. As long as we have a provision for that.
Yep.
And I don't care how we do it, but if we have that provision, then, I'm fine with it.
I think the first year that we decide to do something like that it'll be a little rough on us because you'll get those people that, use that notice, and they'll be upset.
With any change.
Exactly. Like I said, when we did the dog licenses, we found ways to get around it. They don't have to have a notice. They don't have to have anything to do the online registrations, just their plate number and their information. It'll ask them a few things and they can do it right online
Okay,
or
great.
mail it in with the check number on the memo, a copy of their registration, whatever they want to do.
That's a good idea.
Yep.
Next is tax collection, 4150.40.
I don't, the wages and all that stuff is Karen's department, health insurance, dental insurance, property tax research. I left it about the same. Let's see.
I think we went up 165 on that one.
Did we go up 165?
On the title search.
Yep, because title search now is at is at 665 now. So,
It was 500 last year.
yep. And as of right now, in my most recent budget report, it was at 665. Recording fees, we have it $200. We're at 104.31, and we still have the rest of the year for sending in recording fees and copy fees. Software support, again, when I talked to Avatar, it's the same thing. I just added the 5% because that's what they said to add in. Dues and subscriptions, we have 2 for $20. Postage, we have 2 tax bills. And then we have the leaning and deeding notices that come out of there as well. Tax mileage and tolls, that's the other half of the, we do the collectors workshop, 2 user group meetings, and the conference in North Conway. And tax seminars and conferences, it's the other half for the certification training, the fall conference, and like I said, the two workshops.
So that's an increase of just over 16,000, but the majority of that comes from wages.
Yes, because we had a jump in that this year.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, any questions? All right, hearing none, I think we're done with your budgets.
Hearing none, I'm out of here. Thank you.
Thank you for coming and joining us. Appreciate it.
Glad to hear you're feeling better.
Yes, thank you.
Just duck when you go through the door.
Yes. The whole quarter of an inch or something.
Thanks, Terry. Be well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Sanitation Administration, 432110.
All
Ms.
right.
White.
Dave could not be here with us tonight, so I'll go over his. So the wages I put in according to what he believes he will be using his part-time is at, how many hours, what days, etc. So that's all updated. His overtime, we kept it the same. That's him doing the holidays when they're open. Health insurance again and dental, we haven't gotten any new notices, so that's still the same. Electricity, we did with the run rate. And propane, he doesn't have the propane. Building maintenance, we left the same. He was satisfied with that. Dues went up a little bit under his household hazardous waste collection. General supplies, we kept the same. Equipment maintenance, he kept the same. Diesel fuel, we went down. I mean, I did that. I took the estimates, and I don't have it connected on this one, but there's another one that we use for gas and stuff, and they said it was going to be about $4.07 a gallon. So it seemed to have gone down. I don't know if that's good or bad.
I think they need to update
If
their
I'm
site.
right or wrong. Well, though I think Dave, I mean, if I look at what Dave has even spent in gas, I think, I mean, he was okay with it.
Get your diesel there, Kevin.
But yeah, I think him and Kevin, yeah, I think they use.
Ain't much gas
So,
being used over there.
I think Kevin's might be going up and Dave's going down. They're solid.
It's a sad thing when you're happy that gas is $4.09.
Yeah, I know, huh?
Oh, well, what's good in Dave's budget? All right, uniforms and accessories.
You
we
might want to
have-
take a look at that one as we go forward.
Yeah, all right, I will. But I think when we get to highway, we'll have to see if his went up, because where is Dave's?
No, because if Dave's at 4, we're going to put Kevin at 4.
Sanitation.
And the police.
That's right.
Fire.
Diesel, Dave has spent current year expenditures $1,121.74 right now.
But we don't know how many gallons he's bought, right?
Well, if you look on this,
407 also? Okay.
yeah, I mean, we'll change it if that,
Closer to budget, I think we're gonna have to look at that.
Mhm.
So Dave's with his estimate for the run rates, and his estimate would be 390 gallons.
It's close, yeah.
But now I have 1586 when I look at this, so I don't know why we did the 1236, but I'll go over that. Dave did all of his run rates on his hauls and his tons for his demo, his solid waste and his recyclables, and he was pretty confident in that. His recyclables direct will stay the same, and then his equipment lease at the dollar, and he took out the mileage and tools because there's no traveling anymore. It's all online for their updated certificates.
So when it's
So
all
his
said and
is
done, the proposed is
negative.
negative, yeah. Almost $3,800.
But I'll check into his diesel again.
You'll need that for fuel.
Yeah,
I think so.
Maybe you'll loan some to Kevin.
I'll have to see if Kevin's went up when we get to his budget.
Okay, do we have any questions on sanitation administration? All right,
Great job by those guys over there.
Dave always does a wonderful job. Next is road agent, 431110. Welcome, Mr. Brown.
Thanks for having me.
Now that you're the only Mr. Brown we have.
Yeah, see? No computer.
I thought he was on vacation.
I am.
Back just for us.
I think I'm going to miss this just like you. I'm not going to miss it.
I just came on to give you a report on your daughter.
How's she doing?
She's got a great taste in music. She likes rock and roll like me.
I took her to Motley Crue Friday night. She
Saw
loved it.
that.
I heard.
Oh my God.
You.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
I took my stepdaughter to Blink 182
Oh, nice.
That's a good show.
Yeah.
It's a great show.
in Worcester.
Yep.
At the Centrum. Was it the Centrum anymore? I don't even know.
I don't know, what do they call
No,
it?
it's not. It's DCU.
DCU.
DC.
Many years ago.
So it was probably the Centrum back then.
Yeah.
My son Rob was probably there.
We'll put it this way. Last time I saw Def Leppard was 26 years ago at the Centrum. And then just Friday night again. They sounded better now. All right. I'd like to apologize because I'm not coming in with a lower number. The majority of our increase is salary for a new employee, benefits for a new employee.
Oh, do you want to do road agent? Do you want me to do
Oh,
road agent?
I mean, either way, you can do it. I'll do it.
Oh, we're
doesn't
still-
matter.
Yeah, road agent's up first.
Yeah, I'm just, I'm prepping them.
You're down, Paul.
Yeah. Actually, road agent has it stayed the same. We kept it the same. I think the biggest point in there is which we're going to have to look into is the
Okay.
engineering services
Oh, yeah. for
because
stormwater.
we're carrying the $10,000 for engineering above the civil side for stormwater management because that's just going to increase and continue on. We have a large sum coming out of my budget this year for the initial setup of stormwater management. So it makes sense for us to keep that in there to continue on because it's not going away. So basically, road agent. Now, if you want to go line by line, we can, but it's flat. It's straight across the same as
Propane.
last year, other than propane.
The propane, yeah.
That's good.
225. So you went up $595.
See,
It's not
not
that
bad. We'll turn the heat down. Maybe we can save some.
bad.
Can you run your equipment?
Now, as far as materials, like road salt and that sort of thing, do you expect that to go way up?
I do.
That's coming in the next
We
one.
went
road
from
maintenance.
that's in the road maintenance. But if you want to jump right in, we went from $49 to $49 to $72
Yep.
from 21 to 22.
Per ton?
And I have to assume that it's going to go up again. I have to, just because delivery fees are going to go up because of the trucking. Never mind the ships that haul it in from South America, Africa and Ireland.
So while we're talking, let's just jump to road maintenance then, 43, 12, 10.
Sounds good.
Since your other one was only $595.
So Of course, we go right into wages. My wages, Josh's wages, our new full timer. So that's going to increase because of the new full timer. We kept the 2 summer seasonal employees on, and then we have the fall, winter, spring seasonal employees, which we bring on to plow and shovel, which is a carryover from last year. So that went up.
So between those two, you're looking like an increase of about $58,000, but the majority of that is the new employee.
There's no employee. Yeah.
And that was a warrant article, so.
Yes, that was a past warrant article.
Yes.
We have not put him on full time yet. He is still working as the gentleman we're looking at is working as a seasonal right now. So I'm still talking with him about this. So this is all for next year anyway. So overtime, we ran a 3-year average on the overtime, and that went up. Especially seeing that we're going to have a third person in the mix. By like we talked about before, by adding a third person, we're hoping that the contractor's fees will end up going down some on the other end. I'm not going to be able to. We don't know that because of storms. You know what I mean? It could be a bad year. It could be a good year. Of course, I'll use our employees prior to contractors if I can. Health insurance, dental insurance. That's going to be plugged in by Karen.
Yeah, so they've gone up
Because of the
per-
new employee.
yeah,
right?
the census that we have right now, but yeah, not with the new rate.
Contractor services. I did go up on the truck rentals. I went up $5 an hour. I still have to talk to my contractors. It's still early, but just with the cost of fuel, I know they're going to be coming. I've already had 3 guys reach out to me. What are we going to do this year?
Yeah.
So, buying another truck, that kind of adds to our own in-house trucking. So there'll be less contractor. So that's kind of liquid right now, fluid, I should say. Equipment rental charges, we left the same. Line striping is the same. We get, this year I've been holding off waiting for CIP to see if there's any money. And I know we have some money coming in possibly at the end of the year for paving from the state. So if we get money from the state, I'd like to go back to CIP and tell them, I'd prefer equipment over paving money because we'll have other paving money coming in. Wish list. So the line striping, we haven't spent much of it yet, just because I'm waiting to see what we're going to do at the end of the year. If we are going to pave anymore, before I don't want to go and line stripe Pinecrest and then pave over it. I have to do it again. Tree removals are the same. Road sweeping is the same. He did go up on us a little bit, but we've kind of tightened up on what roads we're doing. Some of the main roads don't have to be swept because they wash off the side and there is no need to sweep them. So I'm kind of watching him and guiding him better to get that price down. Road maintenance, that's the regular paving. That's, potholes and the paving that we do in-house. That stayed the same. Catch basin clean out stays the same. General supplies, we went up a little bit on general supplies because we're going against a 3-year average. We seem to be running a little low, and that's just everyday, pieces and parts. Fuel, we're at $4.07 a gallon, 3,100 gallons approximately. The 4.07, that's going to be something we're going to have to watch the closer we get to budget. Who knows what over the first of the year is going to happen with that.
I think we should hold you to that, Kevin.
Yeah, let's see. But all 4 of you guys all you guys live on state maintained roads, right? So I can't say I won't plow your road. Vehicle repairs and maintenance. Once again, we go by a 3-year average, and we're at $45,000 on that. With an old fleet, I know we are adding new trucks, but we still have to maintain those. And with an old fleet, like the fire department, we have breakdowns, and luckily our breakdowns have been maintained through this budget without having to go above and beyond. So yeah. Safety equipment, uniform, that went up a little bit, and that's again because we have another employee coming on, so that's going to add to it. And there was an increase for Cintas from 51, I believe it was, to 72 this past year. So the cost went up.
Yes.
The $74. The cost went up so a little bit, and that's also our first aid kits, our cones, our anything to do with safety, vests and such. Sand. We left the sand right where it is. We've been really good with the sand, but that's another thing. You don't want to mess with it if you don't have to. Gravel. We did a lot of gravel work this year. We put a lot of gravel down. We kept that the same. Asphalt, the patch, we kept the same. Signposts and accessories, we did go up on signposts and accessories. This year we put up all the Purple Heart signs, and that kind of killed my budget right away for the Purple Heart signs, but a worthy cause. But we did go up a little bit because we do have quite a bit of signs in town that we need to upgrade into new sign poles and such. Block grant, that's another one. We don't know what we're going to get. Right.
I think there was something in my box, but I had no chance to look at it today, but I quickly scanned it and I thought it was going to be 205.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're right in the same.
Right there, yeah.
It's at 200. So
I gotta really look. At it.
equipment purchase. I mean, this is a line that I would like to increase, but I know, I'd get hell if I did. This is, purchasing, plow blades and pieces and parts for the trucks that aren't repaired, to upgrade, but we're keeping that same right where it was. The vehicle lease, as of October 23, the Freightliner the lease will be up, will be done. So we'll own that Freightliner with no more. And I'd like to talk to you further. It's maybe some other time about, another truck and extending that and keeping that lease payment going. Get another large truck, maybe replace the 2000 orange truck. Seminars and conventions, we left that. That pays for our beaver hunting license, our trapping license, and such. So right now, the increase is $85,703.
But 2/3 of that is wages.
Without, yeah. Well, it has something to do with a new employee.
New employee,
Uniforms,
somehow
wages,
in that whole
medical,
entire thing.
You got to add them in somehow.
Okay, do we have any questions for road maintenance at this time?
So the wage increase is about 58,000 and overall it's 87. Is that what I'm gathering?
Yeah, you'll probably get close to 60, Bob, if you put in like the safety vest and all the other little line
Yep.
items.
Yeah.
So
And
probably
then
60 of the
87
80 and change.
Okay, 87 overall. Okay. All right. How much did the Purple Heart signs cost out of your budget?
But I think it was close to 1,000.
$1,000? Okay.
I'll get better numbers for
I
you.
can, because I can get you some money to reimburse that.
Is that just for the posts?
No, just for the
Post
signs.
office
We supplied the posts.
Okay, so.
That came out of my stock, and then the signs came from the state, I believe. Was it the state?
But I was under the understanding that the signs were to be provided, weren't they, Robert?
Yes, and I will collect the money for that and I will give it to the town.
Okay.
That's the money back.
I'm not complaining. I'm just
Yeah,
kind
no,
of putting out
but
where
it was
it
supposed to-
went,
It was something that was supposed to be completely paid for and I want to make sure that we follow through on that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I just want to take this opportunity to thank the road agent for, we had a situation where we had a group of residents who were out of water. And I talked with you, Mr. Chairman, and Kevin went over and got a bunch of water at Monadnock. They're very happy to give it to us. Took a town truck, went over, we brought it back. He brought it back and supplied the residents who were out. And then we put a stash at the old firehouse. So I want to thank Kevin for that. And also for if there's any members of the public out there who run out of bottled water, we do have a stash. So, you know, it isn't an infinite quantity, but just so people know, it's available to them for people who, you know, are impacted by St. Cobain.
Thank you, as always. You always go the extra step for us. Appreciate it.
Enjoy your vacation.
I live there.
So when I'm working at the old town hall, I'll have all the water I can drink.
Yeah, right. Fill up a pool, you can swim, whatever you need.
Perfect.
All set?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your vacation. Thanks
Thanks,
for
Ryan.
coming in, spending some time with us.
It's always a pleasure.
I hope it cools down to wherever you're going.
Well, it's gonna rain, so that'll be.
Okay.
I'm looking at the radar and the force field is in effect.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks, Kev. Take care.
Yeah, I know that one.
All right, next one up is street lighting, 431630. Ms. White.
Thank you. So I'm not quite sure on street lightning since we converted to the LED. I don't know, Eversource or PSNH, whatever they're called now. They gave us credits, then they charged us back for them. I guess they're changing some of our account numbers, and so it hasn't been very helpful. But when I looked at the budget today, we have about 50% of the budget left on street lighting.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of think that number is probably still good. I mean, we can come back afterwards, but I think it was like 52% left. So I would think the 8,800 is still good.
It'd be interesting to see what the bills have been since we converted.
Yeah, I'm hoping. We even had a new rep in last week. He had come in, but he had said the same thing. You know, they're not quite sure, and they had changed one of our accounts. But it seems to. I mean, because last year I had looked, so our actual expense was 22,000 last year, but I didn't write it down. I think like 10 or 11,000 of that was our conversion.
Okay.
So I think it was about 11,000 we had spent last year.
And when was the conversion done? February-ish?
Yeah, February or March.
Somewhere right in
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Did we increase the number of streetlights?
I don't know if we increased. I don't know what they found
I
wrong.
wondered if it's a true apples to apples comparison or.
I thought there was only like a couple that were either we didn't have or we had or vice versa. I think it was pretty close.
I don't think we ever increased anything because we
No.
don't know. We don't really do that. Matter of fact, I know some that they didn't put on the list. They missed.
But they were supposed to find those.
Right,
This
yeah,
company was
yeah.
supposed to find those, yes. And ones that may have been on the list from,
Right over here,
from Eversource that.
right on the right in the parking lot.
I mean, so
Any new ones
50%
would be
left.
just
I
on
think
the
that's pretty
subdivisions
good.
that have gone in since, I believe.
Yeah, but
Because you'd assume there'd be a cost savings to it going down. the
Yeah,
road.
yeah. But we're, I mean, in 2020, our expense was 13,000.
So,
So, and I think last year it was about 11 or 12. And to go down to 88 is, yeah.
especially with the, 22% increase they just got.
Yeah, that could be.
it is going.
too.
It's gonna pan out.
Okay, it'll be interesting to see where the numbers come in. Next, we have accounting, 4150.10.
Is she here?
So I did the wages, the treasurer and deputy are the same, the trustees are the same, no overtime, health insurance went down for our census, but again, with when the rate changes come in, change that, but it did go down for the census. Software support went up a little bit. I have, mine's BMSI and then my fixed assets, and they're about a $40 increase a year, they seem to be. My printing is the same, dues and subscriptions is the same. Looks like my supplies went up $7 for my 3-year. And, the supplies is hard because the supplies aren't just mine.
Mhm.
And I don't really know what anybody else is going to be spending or buying. So I can really only go by the 3-year, census on that. Postage went up, but, we're doing a lot of our payroll. We're emailing all of their direct deposits. So we're saving on, though a lot of the departments would pick up their checks or direct deposits before anyway, but we are saving a little bit there. Mileage and tolls went up because mileage went up. I think the new rate is like 62.5 cents where it was 58.5. Seminars and conventions, I left the same. And I think this is maybe the last year on the audit. And so that went up 4,000. Oh, no, I think it's more my OPEB. My OPEB went up 3,000, and I think the audit went up 1,000. So mine's up 10.
10,444, but
Yeah, more for my
5,800 of it is wages again.
Yeah, of my audit.
And then your audit picks up the
Yeah.
other hunk of it. Do we have any questions on 4150.10 accounting?
I have none.
Hearing none, we'll move on to revaluation of property, 415210.
So reval of the properties, I kept the same because that's our contract. And, hopefully we'll do the warrant article for the $25,000 again. So when we come up to the full reval in 2025, we'll have that money. And I think that so far has been working out well. And my avatar software, it went up a little bit. As it goes
So it looks
up.
like you added, 3% to it?
Yeah.
Okay, any questions on 415210 revaluation of property?
How much up are you all together?
In the whole, it's hard to say. In the whole,
On reval, yeah.
a
Reval?
couple hundred,
120 bucks.
120.
Well, it's not bad. We'll call that a flat line.
Yeah.
Because it's 3% on the software went up.
Yeah.
That was the only increase. The next we have Board of Selectmen, 4130.10.
So not sure where, we're going or what the anticipation of paying the new town administrator. So I just plugged in that number of 110.
Plugged in the last contract number.
Yeah, I think I just kind of went even.
Yep.
And otherwise, I think, so the expense went down by the 3-year average. Clerical support went up because the conservation added another $1,200 in meeting minutes. They wanted, instead of putting in their budget, we just put all clerical support in one. Mileage and tolls, I brought down by the 3-year average. And so that was only up 1866.
For a total 1866?
Yeah.
And 1,200 of it was for the meeting minutes at conservation.
I don't have that graph that you guys are all able to look at because I have you guys on the screen. I'd much rather look at you. Except for
All right, so we have any questions on the Board of Selectmen 4130.10? Okay, next we have legal expenses, 4153.10.
I don't know where you want to go with that one. That one I just did the 3-year average, and it came down, but once you add in this year's,
Yes.
so I don't know, what's going to happen next year. If you want to leave it at what we budgeted this year, if you want to bring it down. I mean, right now, we've overspent that one by 17,000.
Mm-hmm.
I would think that we would be safe going with the 3-year average after this year, because this year is an anomaly,
Yeah.
but hopefully we'll be back to normal times next budget.
Yeah, as we get closer to the actual budget we got to put up, we'll probably know where we are and
Yeah.
if some of our legal expenses are coming to a closure.
Hopefully.
Yes.
I'd be in favor of keeping it the same. I wouldn't drop it at all.
No, you want to leave it at that?
That would be my thought. You worry about not having money if you need it.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to have a cushion, as we're finding out.
Yeah, because in 2021, we were approved for 30,000, then in 22, it got dropped to 25,721.
Yeah.
Was any of this warrant article money?
So far for this year,
No.
that we would have raised money for warrant articles? No. So this was just what?
It's budget.
I'm saying the the legal expenses associated with the Pennachuck PFOA.
No, it shouldn't be because we had that warrant article that I think is still carried over.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Because that was from a couple of years ago.
Let me see.
And then we encumbered it, I believe.
Yeah, they all kind of went together, you know.
It's been so long doing with them.
Pennachuck, we spent some out of that 7,160 out of what we had re-encumbered for that did not lapse. So so that Pennachuck would not have come out of that legal. It would
Okay.
have come out of an encumbrance. So do you agree to put that back to the 25,721?
Yes,
Yep.
Yeah,
for the time.
I'll just put it under selectmen for now.
Okay, next we have welfare vendor payments, 4445.2,
So that should be, I think, zero, because we do,
because we have the
we
warrant
have
article,
the,
right?
let me find it. That is the one that we have the trust fund
We have the
for.
expendable trust for that.
And I mean, luckily, we haven't really, we try and take what we can out of the budget if we can, and
Mhm.
haven't had to tap into that, so
And
that's still at zero.
So it's zero.
Yeah.
so are we gonna do a warrant article to make sure we keep money in that fund?
I don't think so, because we haven't had to tap into it yet, and we've had it for a couple of years now. I think it's
I think-
probably
I
been,
wonder if it's going to get different this year with the cost of
I mean, we thought,
home
yeah,
heating
yeah.
oil. I mean, this year could be tough.
Yeah, I think heating and electricity.
It's gonna be the jumper.
is
And the economy's gonna change. I mean, it's probably gonna change quick and it's probably gonna change hard, and I think we need to be ready.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to look at it come December when we have to get warrant articles in. Where are we? Are people using it? Where's the economy at that time?
Yeah, we have $10,016.92 in that general assistance fund.
But if somebody fills their oil tank at $4 a gallon, there goes 1,000 right out of the gate. So that
Yeah.
means you can fill 10 people, basically, and we're
Yeah.
empty.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to have to address that and see what we want to do when we get closer.
Okay.
Kerry Douglas on Budget Committee is always a proponent of establish a trust fund, keep it there unless you need it. And I think that's the way to, let's have that trust fund and make sure we've got plenty of money in it.
Yeah, I think she's the one that really
Yeah,
pushed
maybe
this
add
one.
another 5 or 10,000, another
Yeah.
10,000. In a warrant
We don't need
article.
to spend it, but if it's there, if we need it, if somebody is hurting, we have to take care of it. We have to help anyways.
Fully
Yeah.
agree.
No, I just.
And I think you're right, Robert. You know, come January, February, we could go through that like that, you know?
We always have to think of the others, A lot of people are doing well, but there's some people that aren't. We can't ever forget them.
There may be funds made available by the state, though. I mean, this year could be such a big deal that the state may come in and say, because other towns might not be in as good a shape financially as we are.
Mhm.
So it could be a bad situation.
Scary.
Yep.
Yes, it is. So next we have patriotic purposes, 458310.
So that went up by $1,280. I did the 3-year average. I think it may have been flags. That was the running one on this, but I'm not positive on that one. but for I think last year. So I just did the 3-year average and brought it up to 2830.
So it's be a change of $1,280.
Yeah, yeah,
By using the three-year average.
yeah, correct.
And usually that funds the Memorial Day program, doesn't it?
Yep, a lot of it is that, and then the
Yeah.
wreaths and,
Yeah,
Yep.
Flags.
yeah.
okay. And the last one we have is debt services, 471110.
And so that would have, so that seems like I think that it went up a bit, but that's because last year we used the impacts to
Yes.
pay towards it.
Should that one have been 472310?
Yeah, I was wondering that because
It's two different numbers. I don't,
Because the
Under the
Excel
debt
spreadsheet
service?
has 472310.
20 is, and then up above is 4711
Yep.
and then 4721.
Okay.
I guess it's just, 47
Just kinda
long
rolled
term and
together.
the interest
Mhm.
and then the tax anticipation. When you do the DRA websites, they have different numbers and they just fall under the same, but anyway, so this seems like it had gone up a little bit, but we used the impact fees to reduce last year's budget on
Yep.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, I'm not sure what's in impacts, but when the new condos go in, you'll have some impact fees coming in.
Yeah.
So
How
that
much
might
has it gone up, Karen?
What?
How much has that increased for last year?
23,000, it looks like it went up.
Okay.
9.98%.
Yeah, for some reason I don't have a
9.8%.
column there to
Yeah.
show the difference.
But if you do the math quick, it's about 23.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, it's so something, I don't know, what is in fire impacts? Yeah, right now it looks like, total, about 21,000, I guess we have in fire impacts. So it's something, when the Tacoma stables, the condos start going in there and impact fees come in next year. If that goes, we can think
Use
about
those
that.
to help offset it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. So that concludes our budget review for this evening. Seeing that it is 7:45 PM, I'd like to open it up to public input. Do we have any members of the public that would like to provide input? Yeah, we only have Matt here. We did have one letter that was sent in that we're going to read into for public input. It says, Office of the Selectmen. I am writing about concerns my family has with the PFOA contamination of Litchfield properties. My family has been contacted several times by Golder Associates Incorporated because of properties fall in the radius of the contamination zone. Some of these properties are undeveloped and do not have access wells for testing of groundwater at this time. I have completed the paperwork sent to us, checked the box for this property does not have a water supply well that provides potable water. We added the clause that we reserve the right to have the water tested if or when the property is sold or developed at St. Gobain's expense. As landowners, we would like to know what future rights we have regarding the water supply on these properties. Will St. Gobain pay for the testing of the water and the hookup to Penachuk's water system or a water filtration system if needed in the future? Will the planning board approve development of these properties without a Penachuk water source or require the added expense of a water filtration systems? Who will be responsible for providing safe water on the properties? There are several other landowners in town that have undeveloped properties, and this will also affect their properties. We would appreciate you addressing this concern. Thank you, a concerned town resident. And then it also says, we realize that the first priority with the PFOA problem is get safe drinking water to the residents in the contamination zone. But we'd also like to have the board address the contamination of undeveloped land to protect these landowners.
So what they're saying is that these are vacant parcels of land that somebody may want to buy or sell. Okay, and they don't know if there's any PFOAs out there. So it's just potable water next door, town water or some sort. You may want to require that's a planning action to make sure it's safe.
Mm-hmm.
Two, or you can do an exploratory well out there, drill well, if they're going to just put in wells, okay, and determine whether or not there is PFOAs in the groundwater out there by doing a test. Now, they said that though. Find it very hard if these lots are in an area where there's been maybe tested positive here and there. Most likely it may have some in it. Okay, some they won't, or some they will. So it's actually a health issue or a planning board issue with development piece of land safely, where they're going to require expensive water or a potable well system, or we look at a filtration on a common well that will feed that. But getting that well is going to be tough out there in many of these places where it is, unless you got a good water source next door or underneath somewhere. So it's not going to be easy. It's a good question.
I think we got to refer it back to legal counsel that was supporting us on the whole PFO initiative, right? Go back to them and find out, whose expense is it for undeveloped property.
From a planning board, I don't know if we have a zoning ordinance, to kind of look at that, but we can check with, I just hate to say,
See, well, you
RBC
have
or
to
other town
provide-
admins to see, we don't have an item to say,
No, you don't.
to point to.
The only item you have is a development goes in, you subdivide it. If it comes back positive on a well, or elects to put in a town water, okay? And we know if there's land around it that's been tested positive, some homes next to this thing, then yeah, they're probably going to run town water to it. So we don't know where the parcels are.
Mm-hmm.
I got one in the middle of the woods, but I know I got water close by. Okay, but that's another story,
So you're saying legal, if they're close enough, they should get connectivity right now?
The cost
Ask
of the
for it.
construction method or the unknown for the seller of the land or the unknown for the buyers has now been corrected.
Now, there
Okay.
was a map that went out, right, that said what was the contaminated area, right?
Yeah.
And they're saying if their land is,
getting amended. It keeps getting further and further.
right, so
Right.
but they're saying they're in that already.
That's a non-questionable answer. It's already answered. You have to put something out there. The type could be filtration,
Right.
okay, or you can tie in the town water.
So they're just looking for this in writing, that Saint Gobain will pay for this?
Yeah.
When the land
I guess we're looking for,
transfers.
where does the liability fall? Still
Liability.
back on St. Gobain, or is it falling
Right.
into their basket?
But that's what they need to know.
And I think the only way we're going to get an answer is through legal counsel.
Bob, you got anything to say?
Yeah, because this letter was brought up by a member of my family. We have a lot of land still in town.
Yep.
Specifically, there's a piece near me that's over 50 acres. That's 50, not 15. Now, should that land ever get sold and somebody wants to develop it, there's no water lines running through there, okay? If that tests positive for PFOAs, which some of the neighboring properties have, that basically renders that land almost useless and valueless. And that's an awful lot of money. And there's a lot of other property owners in town that my family has spoken to that are in the same boat. If the land becomes to a point where you can't do anything with it because it's contaminated, that's going to be a loss of tax revenue for the town. It's going to be a loss of revenue for people that have owned this property for years and paid taxes on it. And it's an area that has not been addressed yet. Everything's always been the board. We've always looked at, the property owners. We have not looked at undeveloped parcels of land. That could be a huge headache down the road.
It could be, and on top of it, just more than water, it could also be the soil itself. If the soil's contaminated, then it's gonna have to
Well,
be a net
if
zero
the water's
site.
contaminated, chances are the soil is too.
Yeah.
Because that PFOA has penetrated the soil into the water source, so it would be in the soil.
It's like when a warehouse went in the north end of town, that was a net zero. They couldn't take any of the soil off that site.
Correct.
It all had to stay within the site because of the contamination.
So that's something else we need to address. We need to look at. There's a lot of property owners still in this town that have large chunks of land. And I think it behooves us to make sure that we're looking at this.
Robert, you were fading out there. Could you, the last couple sentences?
As far as, where was I at? I was kind of rambling.
You're saying there's a lot of property out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of property and it behooves us to get on top of this before it becomes an issue. You try to sell a piece of land and it tests positive. Now, nobody's going to buy that piece of land because the ground is probably as contaminated as the water is. The ground is the filtering mechanism that's supposed to take out all the bad stuff, you know, and if the bad stuff's getting into the water, it's already gone through the ground and it's in the ground, which makes it, you know.
The key part to this is if you've got no test in an area where there's no water, the DES or the state and Saint Cobain need to start extending the lines to those areas so they can be taken care of.
Yep.
Bottom line. Okay. There's vacant land they're going to drive by. Fine. They drove by. They went by Continental's cornfield, the whole length all through there. You know.
Yep.
It's going to happen again.
Why couldn't they put in a well with a filtration system?
Well, an
They're not
individual
paying for
could, but whose
filtration
cost is
systems
gonna
at
be?
this point.
What's that?
Saint Cobain is not paying for any filtration systems at this point.
No, but this new program
Yeah.
allows, I think, up to $5,000 or $10,000
Yes.
reimbursement for a filtration system.
Yep.
I think the people have to front the money up front, but they need to have
Guaranteed.
they need to have an assurance that it's going to be reimbursed.
And not only that, but I mean, the point I'm getting at here, Rich, is that if somebody sells a piece of property 5 or 10 years down the road, when this is not such a hot button topic, those are the people that could be, you know, really badly affected by this as well.
I agree.
And I think as a town, before we sign off on anything with Saint Cobain, we need to make sure that we've got everybody in the town covered.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I agree, Mr. Chairman. We need to refer that to legal.
I think so too, and start investigating that.
Yep.
All right, we'll close public input at 7:56 PM. And before we move on to the next item, since we're talking water, let's address Selectman LaSalle's addition on the water situation.
Well, the situation, of course, has been around. I think it is recently brought to a head when all of the increases have kind of hit now, and people who previously had been on a well now are paying Pennachuck expensive water prices. Plus, it's been so dry. So, you know, again, water usage is probably up. But I think, and it was brought to my attention, you know, we need to have some sort of a plan to investigate alternatives to the Pennachuck water supply. And the only thing that I can think of is to follow the Hudson model, which was to buy out Penachuk, and then manage it on their own. Now, at this point, I have no idea whether that's feasible at this point for us, whether it makes sense from an engineering standpoint. So I threw it out there on social media that we need to, as a town, we need to explore this. And we need to have some sort of group who has expertise in engineering and utilities and so forth to explore, excuse me, explore what other towns have done. And I understand there are other towns such as Hull, Massachusetts went through this, and other towns that have found themselves in a similar situation. It's been brought out, I'm sorry, it's been brought out that it wouldn't be fair to the people who are on wells to have to pay for all of this rigmarole when they're not being impacted. And the idea, I think, other than the initial expense of a study, is that what would be formed, the town would be out of it. It would be a separate water utility that would be an entity of its own, so that the town, the taxpayers, wouldn't be on the hook for this. Okay, so I think people need to be assured that other than some sort of study that's done initially, some sort of engineering expense, which I think it's entirely feasible that the town would do that. But then when it comes right down to it, this is going to cost millions of dollars, and it's going to take several years to put this into effect. And that part of it would be a separate bond issue and would be covered by a different entity than just the town. So that's where we stand. I wanted to put it out there because obviously there are a lot of people now who are being impacted by the high water bills. People are getting hundreds of dollars for 1 month for water. And I am impacted also.
Yeah, I think it's a great way of using some ARPA funds. I mean, to have an engineering study, my gut would say, depending on how far you want to go into the valuation of what it could be $5,000 to $50,000, right? So why don't we take some of this found money and find a way to go help our residents? I mean, it's low hanging fruit. Instead of going out for an RFP, go out for a request for quotation. Then we don't have to worry about the whole purchasing policy. They come back with a quotation on what service they could give us for evaluation, and go and start investigating this, because we don't know if if they'd want 15 million, 30 million for it. What would the price tag really be? But I think we need to take steps to start addressing it.
My only suggestion to that would be make sure that it is an acceptable use of the ARPA fund. I have no problem using it. I think it's a good purpose and a good cause for it. But I have a question for Kevin, because he might know this better certainly better than me. Now, when a development like, say, Weatherstone, that one just went in, they put the water lines in. Doesn't the developer pay to have them put in?
Correct.
Yep.
And he hires somebody to put them in at his own expense for time and materials, right?
Yep.
And then he turns it over to Penachuk?
Correct.
Yep.
So they're basically getting this product for nothing. So I would think that they would be not required, but maybe willing to turn it over to the town.
The only side,
Because they got these water lines for nothing, for zero cost to them. They just have to maintain them.
You got the two wells in town that
Yep.
Hudson owned. And they're getting tired. We know that. There's a lot of iron. They also just put that cross line across the river to feed us from their water supply, which is the river, or the area back there where the Pennachuck is. So that's Pennachuck itself. Pennachuck East is over here, the 7th Division. Okay, and it's a separate company. So I think it's a good idea to look into, because I've been getting concerns and questions from the citizens about the water and stuff like that. I know Rich has been on top of it as much as he can. And I've been thinking about it. I think, yeah, we should review what we can do, bring this cost down. Because it's costing us more to put in more water lines than just the hydrant rentals. Okay? That alone has been a big increase for us.
You know, if we can't use ARPA funds, I think our next step would be to draft a warrant article
You
for
have to be
March.
a one on the bond.
If we can't use ARPA.
I think clean water is part of ARPA.
I think it's part of, that'd be great if we could use some of the ARPA
I'm
funds.
sorry, Karen, what'd you
I
say?
think clean water is part of ARPA.
Yeah, I would think that we'd,
Let's verify. It'll be all set.
I'll look, but I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
If you could, that'd be great, because at least we can start going out there, investigating, looking at some different consulting firms.
Yeah.
and you mentioned a term there, request for,
Quotation. So if you do a request for proposal, you have to actually draft a proposal exactly what you want. So it's a lot of work on our part, and we really don't know.
Yeah.
A request for quotation, you can go out to the resident experts and say, this is what we're thinking about doing. Please give us a quotation to encompass this. And everyone's going to come back with different amount of scope.
Yeah.
Some will have less scope, some will have more scope. And then our problem would be balancing out the scope, right?
yeah, I agree. That's where we need to go.
And if you have maybe 3 different scopes or even 4 different scopes, which I think would be very prudent for a project like this, I think that magnitude of spending of money, you need to have a minimum of 3 proposals. Not just talk to 3 people and pick one, but 3 proposals, because then you can say, okay, we need this, we really don't need this, and then kind of, we can narrow it down and say, okay, give us a number based on this. This is the product we're going to put in, or we'd like to put in, and we want the number based on that.
Yep.
I've looked at some other areas in town where major projects have been approved and contractors were hired before the money was even approved. They already, it doesn't make sense to me where you don't get 3 different quotes for a project. I think if you don't do that, you don't move forward. It's not a wise spending of the money.
I gotta go make a phone call.
All right, so if you could investigate if we can use opera funds, that'd be great, and then at least we'll know what our next step could be.
Do you know of engineering firms who could do this sort of thing?
I know of people that could probably give us some guidance.
Okay. Because I don't, I feel very,
We have a company in town. I don't know if they actually do this, but Lewis Companies, he does water lines. He does that kind of stuff, pumping stations, things like that. If he doesn't do that kind of work, then he might be able to turn us towards the right direction. Bruce Lewis is the gentleman's name that owns it.
Okay.
And he lives over on Stark Lane.
I think we go off and use some connections and see what we can get and
Yeah.
get to the next steps once we know what funding mechanism we can use.
Yeah, investments in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure.
Okay.
Okay.
thank you, Karen.
Our master plan chapter on natural resources, including water, is 2002. So maybe we need to look at soils and water.
Water and all that
At
again.
least see what we had back then.
I'm sorry.
The planning board's master plan chapter 3 is about natural resources, including soil and water. It was last updated in 2002. So let's pull in some people.
Probably gonna want to circle back on that one.
Yeah.
All right, next item we have is
Changes.
the 10-year transportation project proposal, New Hampshire Route 3A Corning Road intersection. Ms. Queen, this is all you.
It is, and we'll try to go quickly. Oh, sure.
okay.
That's two of you who have left. I've seen
Yeah,
some.
I won't leave you.
Oh, thank you. Before I get
I am
into
getting
this,
thirsty.
these two grants that we went for, I want to thank a lot of people that were involved in this, including Kevin, who just left the room, and Joan McKibben. Lewis Karen was there, Jay Mancara, Matt Watkins, Ralph Boehm, the Board of Selectmen, board, and I don't want to get into all of it, but planning board, the public, all of that. Karen, you printed out all of the letters of said, we had so many people. It wasn't that we waited till the last minute to get this done, but by the time you go to one board to get approval, and you come to the Board of Selectmen to get approval, and then you go back to NRPC, it just, the clock is going. So right at the end, when we needed all these letters of support, I saw people going to other meetings to get people coming in after hours before. It was amazing to see this town come together to get this done. And I just want to thank everybody involved.
That's great.
It's good to see it happen.
Good work, Kim.
Oh, Kevin too, Joan, everybody did a good job. We worked with NRPC quite a bit to get two projects on the 10-year transportation plan. You have to, by law, be on this plan to get federal dollars to go towards some of these grants. So that's why we have to get on this plan. There was an online application. It wasn't too big, 3 pages. The reason I did not do it at first is because once you hit the next button after you filled out 1 through 4, you could never go back in case you made a mistake. So we sent this in first to get looked at. And this is what was entered into that report finally. If you open up what you see there, you guys have the form. We picked it to be a highway improvement project. That's on page 1. And I'm just going to quickly read just this page, and then we'll move on to the money part of it. The purpose of this project, let me go back up 1. Where's the project located? It's at the intersection of Route 3A and Corning Road in Litchfield, New Hampshire. And the title of this project is the Route 3A Corning Road intersection. The scale of the project, we're on page 1, is the New Hampshire 3A, approximately 1,200 feet would be impacted if we put that intersection in. Corning Road, approximately 200 feet. And the right-of-way impacts will still be determined. So the purpose and need of this was, the purpose of the project is to maintain an acceptable level of service at the key intersection. The existing left-hand turn movement from 3A onto Corning Road and the existing left-hand turn movement from Corning Road onto 3A are both projected to be at failure within 10 years, and this is without any further development in the area. With anticipated additional development in the area, it may fail sooner. So the project scope was to add a left-hand turning lane from the southbound New Hampshire 3A onto eastbound Corning Road, and add a left-hand turning lane from the westbound Corning Road onto southbound 3A, and to realign that intersection to look more of a T instead of at an angle that it's at right now. We had a traffic impact study done on that intersection when the Corning Farm at River's Edge site plan was under review, which is Dark Hole Farms. So we are going to support that as part of the evidence to do that. Both the Planning Board and the Board of Selectmen have discussed this application for the 10-year plan and had approval. And we also had a lot of concern expressed by the public during the Planning Board meetings. So we're not sure who's going to manage the project since 3A is owned by DOT, if Litchfield will manage it or DOT will manage it. Were there any alternatives? I mean, we joked around about a rotary up there, but that's really not great for big trucks. So there really isn't a reasonable alternative. So we had to provide information to DOT to support this. So the traffic study will go in, minutes from our planning board where we have motions to approve this to happen, minutes from the Board of Selectmen, and the letters of support. Working with NRPC, they thought the cost to fix this would be $1.5 million at that intersection. Since New Hampshire 3A is a state road and DOT knows that this intersection will be at failure, they may select the project on that. Corning Road is being used as a cut-through road. That is, traffic at this intersection is not just being generated by Litchfield. Traffic from Londonderry and Manchester are also using this road to get to the Corning Road intersection. And this intersection is not far from the turnpike and the airport.
Dr. Queen, could I interrupt for just a second?
Mhm.
My wife and I utilize that intersection quite often.
Mhm.
And it really is a pain turning south on 3A when you're coming out of Corning Road.
Yeah.
So the other day I tried an alternative. I turned on, I think it's Brook Road, and went that way.
Mhm.
Much easier.
Right.
Significantly easier.
Right.
Now, I'm sure the people on Brook Road wouldn't like to see that, but has that been looked at?
They did look at that, and Brook and Forest, I think, was part of that as
Yep.
well. Yeah, they did look at that. It'll just cause backups in that area as well. But it's the people coming in from Londonderry, really, and
Yep.
Manchester, when you go a few intersections down.
Yep.
That is causing a lot of that traffic.
Yep.
But I will add it to them to look at if, we can put it there to take a look if you'd like.
Because it was the people coming south out of Manchester, there's a hill there.
Mhm.
So you have to kind of poke and hope, you know?
Yeah.
But going up to that other intersection, you don't have that impact.
Right.
So plus you have the whole field across the way. So it might be, if you had to do any significant development, you could, it might be less expensive.
Your phone still work?
What's that?
Does your phone still work? After tonight, you may be getting a few phone calls. I know what you're saying. I know.
All right, I will talk to Jay about that.
I understand what you're saying, but
We looked at that too, because,
Yeah.
when we were looking at the Dark Hole Farm, we were trying to find other ways in and out for that
Yeah.
traffic as well, yeah. We took that, where that number came from is, the cost estimate was another 10-year plan in Brookline, New Hampshire, when they had to do a turn lane like this on Route 13 onto Old Milford Road. So we looked at that as our base.
I know where that is.
And they said for the 20% match, because this is $1.5 million, that DOT may use some of the toll credits to help apply to that match, since they're part of the road issue. All right, so the second one, and I think I just got out of my portal here. Pinecrest Sidewalk Extension. I think you're familiar with this. We tried to go for this last year as a different grant, right? It did make it through some of the rounds. We had conversations about, since this is grant money, maybe instead of going, right now you go from the elementary school up to the middle school, and then that sidewalk continues to Hildreth Drive.
Mhm.
That grant the prior year went from Hildreth Drive all the way to Albuquerque. We said, well, since we're going for a new grant, maybe we want to cross Albuquerque and go all the way to Hillcrest. So we started to go and do all of that research. As you can see with these applications, you have to prove that you've had minute meetings, public hearings, and all of that, and we did not have that.
Yeah.
So we had to basically put in the same grant for different money, just going up to Albuquerque. So I'm not going to get into all of this detail. You can read it, but these are all the pros as to why, and the need statement, basically connecting all of the school systems, all of this area in the government building, the state forests, all the parks. 70% of the population in Litchfield live 5 to 10 miles, or 5 to 10 minute walk, from Albuquerque. So we're trying to use that as some leverage. Right now, when you walk on Pinecrest, there is no sidewalk up in the area we're trying to pave. So it's level, right now, level grade of a C. So what NRPC does is A means it's no problem to cross the road, and B, it's getting a little bit, unsafe. C is really unsafe. D means don't even try to cross. We're currently at a C based on their calculations of that road. And that's at 30 miles an hour, for the mileage there.
Part of the problem is that Pinecrest winds, and you don't have a very clean line of sight.
So you can read all of that page there, but basically what this cost will come to here is still $812,000, $500 for almost a mile of sidewalk going from Hildreth Drive all the way up to Albuquerque. Now, This brought to light a couple of things. We're a small town and we do not have access to traffic engineers. So we're going through learning curves, Kevin and I, as we're trying to fill these out. Town of Nashua has people dedicated for this. So NRPC is going to look at small towns like us that maybe can share a resource, or because as the region moves forward, we need to go with it. The bigger towns are driving how our traffic is being impacted here. So they're going to keep that in mind. If for some reason these are not selected, resubmit them again because the work's already done. You can just keep putting them in. Sometimes nobody applies for these grants. They average about 6 grants per year. Do get, an application goes in for the 13 towns. So let's hope we can get some money here. And that's where we are with those.
It's very good. I have to admit that this has been a good whole thing. A lot of detail in this. I think it's a good way to start it and get it on the program. I know when Roland Bergen was the building inspection and highway guy, there's a section of that the sidewalk from Hildreth, I'll say, or Underwood, was built without the blessing of the Board of Selectmen.
That was a roller coaster ride. Middle of the night
Okay.
thing.
Yeah. I know it's
So to stop that, which is why they want to see minutes
yeah.
and motions made, because sometimes when the 20% match goes to the voters, they say no because they never heard about it before. And there was one town that they did get approved for the grant, and the Board of Selectmen never put it on the warrant article because they didn't know about it, because some citizen went off and just did something without telling them, like this, what you're saying. So the board was like, what? So they
Remember
really
that.
want to make sure that if you're going to get a grant, your town pretty much is really committed to
I think
this.
Pat and Roland almost came to blows.
Yeah, that was a long meeting.
That was pretty interesting.
Good old days.
Good old days.
All right, so next we have the update on the safety concerns on Albuquerque Avenue.
Okay,
Ms. Queen, that's you again.
that's me again. It's been a busy few weeks and months. Okay. Jay Mankara at the last, I don't know if you guys have seen this. Did I update this second one, Karen? I think I did. There's 2 handouts with this, right?
Yes.
This to the
Okay.
safety concern.
So you can see, I'll read the document, but you can look at the draft that was submitted by Jay. So at the last planning board meeting on August 2nd, Jay Mankara handed this statement of work out to the planning board. I noticed on page 3, if you go to that, on Schedule D, this is an agreement that Albuquerque has had some safety concerns of speeding, going through the traffic signs, crosswalks, that kind of thing. As the planning board went out to just investigate, we realized maybe the school down near the high school might need a little bit of crosswalk help as well. So if anybody saw the meeting, that was actually pretty sad. We were trying to say, let's start with the easy stuff and let's look at, intersections of, Hillcrest and Albuquerque. And thank God Mr. Charbonneau was in the audience and we were writing things down and he was telling us things. We just looked like we didn't know what we were doing because we're not traffic engineers and we're not signage experts. So it was very clear that we needed to have a third party look at this. How far apart do you put signs? What color should the crosswalks be? ADA, all of that. So this is a statement of work that has 5 pieces. I'll get to that page in a minute. That Jay Mankara is working with this firm. And it's basically going to do a current state analysis of Albuquerque and to try to, provide ways that they think that we can improve it and come back with a set of, solutions for us. So I said to, first of all, Jay, let's answer this easy one. I said, why are these all X's here? There's no prices. Am I supposed to do something with this? Are they supposed to pick if they want tasks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you fill it in later? But basically he said, no, select what you want to do here. And NRPC is going to be the one signing this contract with this firm, and they're going to do it for free for the town. As long as it's not, big money, but it's just going to come back with some potential solutions. So the only thing I noticed that I was a little alarmed about was section D in the schedule. It said on page 3 at the bottom that it should be before August 10th, 2022, that, they'll provide us results by the 16th. So when I received this on August 2nd, I said, well, I better get to the board tonight if you want to do this. I'm not sure when school goes back, if they're going to actually see this happening. They might
Go back
look
to
at-
29th.
back the 29th. Okay, so they can probably, being professionals anticipate what they could see at that intersection near the school. Or unless they want to see it for the first hand as it's happening, that maybe there's some problems. I don't know.
I know how we could slow things down on Albuquerque. You know, these lowrider cars now, a few speed bumps, and that would really slow them down.
Yeah, they don't want
Till the
that.
winter hits and Kevin plows them up.
Speed bumps, the plows. So I guess what Jay Mancaro would want from you, after speaking with him on Friday, is for you to look at the 5 tasks that they want to do on page 2. And if you agree, he will then fill in the numbers here and have them to start to do the analysis on Albuquerque. And you have to start somewhere. I said, is this just the current state? Are you planning for the future as the town grows? Oh, it's just current state, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
So I would just say that.
I mean, at no cost to us, wouldn't it be great information to have?
That's my point of view right there. This is data you need to make it the next step.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what it's all about.
Wonderful.
And like Mr. Charbonneau said, and I'll give him credit that for liability of the town, it's more important nobody gets hurt. But you need engineers to stamp these changes, not the planning board, because we're not experts in this. You need stamped engineering drawings before any changes are made. Did I hear something up there? Or?
Nope.
Oh. I thought I cut you off like I cut my poor husband off all the time. So I don't know if you want him to, if you guys want to agree to 1 through 5, or do you want to just see what 1 through 5 are?
Locations, traffic calming measures, evaluate school zone, conceptual opinions of probable cost for potential improvements, and meeting and correspondence.
That's part of the preliminary planning. This is what it's all about. I see this to be a good thing for the town. As you all know, we're having some issues with people who don't see signs that are big red ones. Okay. And that kind of stuff. I just happened to meet just the other day over here. Somebody went, shoot, right over here in Hillcrest, in Albuquerque. Something's going on, something in the air around here.
Somebody made a posting on Facebook last week. A woman was almost T-boned, right? With her 2 young, was it a 12-month-old and 24-month-old, her mother.
Yep.
And she thought maybe 3 would die, if not her 4, because somebody came through that at 50 miles an hour, right near the town hall over here. I thought she
right over
said.
here.
So I read it for the record,
Yep.
just to say it keeps happening. I don't know why it's happening, but it is happening.
I wonder if there's some dares going around or something. See if you can go from one end of the Albuquerque to the other at 50 without stopping. I don't know.
I will say this, we've been in here, I've been in this town for years, and I've never seen so many rubber marks, the motorcycle style, up and down the road. They're all over the place. And I think that's by the going.
The burnout.
Yeah, on Route 3A, all the way down through there too. In front of the cornfield.
Some communities are starting to put traffic cameras in. And, if you have one in an intersection and a car goes through a 4-way, they're on video. Send them a nice little notice in the mail with a $250 fine. I bet they don't do it again.
Yeah, I think right now the state of New Hampshire doesn't let you send them a ticket that way. The governor hasn't approved that yet. But the cameras could still happen. I just don't think you could. Well, I'm not a lawyer. I think you
could
could
be a
probably
warning
have
system
cameras,
on this
but I
one.
don't think that you can just send a ticket at the moment.
They do it on the turnpike. When you go, they're not paying a toll, they send you a bill.
We should put up a toll. That would really fly by me.
No, but I think it's a good idea to have NRPC go do this for us.
I think so.
We need a motion.
I think you might want one, yeah.
So move.
So a motion by Mr. LaSalle, second by Mr. Lynch. All those in favor, Mr. Larry,
I,
Mr. LaSalle.
Aye.
Mr. Lynch.
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500.
I want
Ms.
to thank
Queenan,
Kim.
thank you for all your work.
Ah,
I was gonna say the same
Appreciate
thing.
it.
oh, not a problem.
Thank you, Kim.
Oh,
Thank you.
oh, thank you. It's all a group team effort here.
All right. Next, we have the town administrative report. Ms. White.
Thank you. So last Thursday, we received the second tranche of our ARPA funds. So we've received now a total of $904,623.25.
Oh, good.
And then just so you all know, I'm on vacation starting Friday, August 19th, and I'll return on Monday, August 29th.
I will be gone too, for 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks, you will be gone. Where are you going? Salisbury?
Beach.
I'll be going to the beach too, but in another state.
You're going.
I'll be in Rhode Island.
Yeah.
All right.
So
thank
in
you.
your absence, who's,
You are?
You are.
Did we get his application?
I wouldn't pass the, whatever,
You may win. We elect
the urine test.
So we'll be on our own at the next meeting.
Well, I don't think we have one till September, and I think that's why Troy actually pushed it off.
Oh, I didn't even know we pushed one.
Yeah.
Yeah, till September. Remember, we weren't meeting.
I was in there last meeting.
No, so this was back in, I think in July.
Okay.
Said, so, yeah. Oh, well, you know what? Maybe he didn't push it, but we weren't doing budgets.
I think he might have come up when we discussed when we were going to do budgets, because at one
Yeah.
point we had back to back to get the budgets in.
Yeah, yeah.
Biggest budgets we got now is police, fire.
Yeah, big ones will be coming up soon.
That's all about it.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't think he canceled. I think he just pushed off budgets because I wouldn't be here.
Yeah. We'll assess that as we get closer.
Though, you'll have to let me know because I was going to let CIP.
Yeah, that's on my,
Yeah, so
for
maybe,
the
Yeah.
22nd, and I'm like,
Because they haven't been able to get a meeting.
maybe we should give up our meeting for CIP.
that's what I was questioning, because I'm seeing August 22nd being kicked
Yeah.
around. I'm like, but we have a board meeting here. So
Yeah,
maybe
for some
that's
reason,
why
I thought
they
that-
said
Well, I
that.
think as long as we don't have anything pressing, I mean, we could probably get away with it. All right, next we have selectmen reports. Ms. Queenan.
Miss Queenan. Well, we were just talking about the Capital Improvement Committee. So our last meeting was scheduled for August 1st, and we did not have a quorum. So the next meeting is scheduled for September 5th, which is Labor Day, which is not also too, good, because in August, September, we need to really prepare for budget season. So I'm seeing emails about August 22nd, which is a Board of Selectmen meeting,
Mhm.
that this room is available, so maybe this was all planned ahead of time. So far, 2 people have committed from CIP that we could meet, but I think we need to get going, obviously, because we need to work with you and budgeting on that.
Yeah, and Connie and
Yeah.
Mary are available that night.
They are,
They
okay.
decide not to meet, you guys.
Yeah, so but I just don't know what the timing is to get it out to the public, to say what time the meeting is. So I just didn't know. My question is, do we have a Board of Selectmen meeting on the 22nd?
Nope.
Sounds like it's a no. So then it means, I don't know if you need a week of time or however to get the public notified for the 22nd, if it's going to be CIP.
I will contact the CIPC and tell them we got a date here, if they want it.
I had, and 2 people said that they could do.
Could do it. Good.
Okay, that's good.
And I'll be 3.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what we have. We really just need more meetings, hopefully twice a month.
'Cause we can just send out that other agenda because there wasn't really much on it. And then I'll contact the other 2
Mhm.
to make sure, let them know stuff.
Yeah. All right, the planning board, next meeting is Tuesday, August 16th, 7:00 PM here at the town hall. The updates were, we just did the 2 grants. I don't have to go over that, and the Albuquerque safety issue. We're going to start looking at needed 2023 warrant articles. And the form that we're working on online for complaints, John Brunel is still working on that. So we'll give you a prototype when he's done with that. Last update is the Nashua Regional Planning Commission. The next quarterly meeting is September 21st at 7 PM at NRPC's office at 30 Temple Street in Nashua. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. From my side, the Recreation Commission, we have a meeting tomorrow night. We're finally getting off of our summer schedule. We'll be back meeting twice a week. So next time I'll have an update, twice a month. Next time I'll have an update for that. School Facility Improvement Committee, we were supposed to have a meeting this Wednesday, but that got canceled. So the next one is on the 24th. Mr. Lynch?
Hi there. I did not attend the meeting, but Jason brought everything to me. I had a family issue come up. But the land preservation strategy for the COMCOM is putting on the finishing touches, okay, to acquire and preserving land. Moore's Fall the trail map has been installed and on the kiosk, and also looking good there. I filled out a form to report problems that people got a concern and do something. We're looking at the milfoil at Dara. Okay, there have been several complaints about the pond. Folks are asking if there's anything we can do. Conservation is going to connect with the rec department.
They'll be presenting tomorrow night to us
Okay.
with the latest report.
Yep, and then look at the long-term effects and the whole 9 yards. The community garden thing is working good. There's finalizing that up real quick. All good things take time.
Nice.
Okay.
A source of expertise with respect to Dare Pond.
Yep.
There's an abutter named Richard Husband.
Oh, yeah.
Who is an attorney.
Yep.
And he's been through years of dealing with Dara. So he might be somebody to touch base with.
Okay.
He's got a place right on the pond.
Yeah. And I've found him to be very helpful in the past.
Mr. LaSalle's.
The Heritage Commission met and went through the Darko thing, and that's all said, I think, whatever we had to do, and we haven't met since then. And emergency management haven't had any meeting there or any need to, so.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Mr. Larry?
Oh, sorry.
Budget committee, we're a couple of weeks away from our next meeting, so getting in the season. Put on my budget shoes.
I just wanted to say thank you to Steve Gannon for Recreation,
Oh,
who
good.
saw us with doing this presentation that we did the grants, and he found some issues on how we called some of the parks, and he fixed that up for us really quickly and turned it around. And
Oh,
that
great.
went right into the grant, and I'm sorry if I cut him off again. Jeez. There's a delay.
All right. Well, we do have two more items this evening. They're non-public sessions. The first one is under RSA 91A:3, 2A, compensation of a public employee. And the second one is under RSA 91A:3, 2B, hiring of a public employee. Do we have a motion to go into non-public?
So
We have a motion by Mr. LaSalle's,
Second.
second by Mr. Lynch. Roll call vote. Mr. Larry?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
I
I am a yes.
Hi.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
Board's now entering a non-public session. While we do not anticipate the need to return to public session following the non-public session for any reason other than to adjourn the meeting, we reserve the right to do so if the non-public session necessitates the board taking action in a public session. The board is now going into a non-public session. Thank you for tuning in, and everyone be well.